David Handley, Vegetable and Small Fruit Specialist for the University of Maine Cooperative Extension, and we're here to talk about strawberry harvest, and we're at Roaring Brook Nurseries in Wales, Maine. The Maine strawberry season usually starts about the third week of June. We're a little early this year because we had such a warm spring and a winter that wasn't too disagreeable. Interestingly, the strawberry that we picked today is actually a hybrid between two species. The wild strawberry that grows naturally here on the east coast of the United States, including Maine, which is Fragaria virginiana, and another species that grows out in the west coast of the Americas. In this case, the eastern coast strawberry was brought by early explorers to the east coast of the U.S. back to Europe, where it was grown and highly prized because it was better than the native European strawberry. But then about 200 years later, a French captain commanding a ship that was actually spying on the west coast of South America, spying on the Spanish, happened to find some strawberries being cultivated by the natives that had bigger fruit than he'd ever seen. He brought those back to France, and about 50 years later, the cross was made between that wild East Coast type and the wild West Coast of the South American type, and it resulted in a new species, and that's the strawberry that we grow today. So two Native American species that actually were crossed in Europe and then brought back here to give us the strawberry that we enjoy so much today. When we start talking about strawberry harvest, one of the nicest things about picking your own berries is that you can go through there and choose for yourself which ones are going to be the best tasting. And what we really want to look for is fruit that is fully ripe. So when we talk about that and we're looking for ripe berries, we don't want to look for ones with white tips. These are not quite ready yet. They'll still be a little tart, a little too firm. And one of the important things to remember about strawberries is that once you pick them, they will not ripen any further. They're not like an apple, they're not like a banana. They go downhill from there. So you want to make sure they're at their peak of ripeness when you pick. And the way to do that is make sure they're red all the way down to the very bottom. If there's any white there at all, they need a couple more days before they're going to be ready to go. And when we pick strawberries, always look under the plants. Not all the good ones are out here. There's some under the canopy that you need to look for. Here we've got a pretty nice one. We want to take them by the stem, just a little bit above the berry, an inch or so, and just pinch them with your nails and just give it a little twist, and it will come right off and let it roll into your palm. Don't squeeze the fruit, don't pull the fruit, that will bruise it. Anything you do to bruise this fruit is going to ruin its shelf life, and it won't last as long for you, nor have as good quality. And that goes right into the basket and ready for more. Okay. Generally, when we're picking strawberries, we want to pick them into a container that's not too deep. If it allows the fruit to get more than 4 or 5 deep, the one on the bottom is getting crushed. You need to think of these fruit as being alive. If they're getting squished, if they're getting crushed, then they're just not going to have the shelf life and they're not going to have the long-term quality. You always want to pick your strawberries with the stem on. Some people, you'll notice, they hull them in the field, they just pull those caps right off. When you do that again, you've hurt the shelf life, you've wounded that living tissue there. So the time to cap them is when you're ready to eat them, after you've brought them home and you're ready to go, because they're not going to have shelf life if you take that stem off. So stem stays on when you bring them home. Generally, growers are going to sell these to you by the pound. Figure a quart is going to weigh someplace between 1.25 pounds and 1.5 pounds. And sometimes they'll give you bigger containers than this, but usually the containers will be nice and shallow so the fruit's not going to get squished. When you bring these home, put them in a place where they're not going to be exposed to direct sunlight, preferably cool. You can put them into the refrigerator and they'll last in there for 3 to 5 days. You'll notice when they come out of the refrigerator, they're going to be kind of dull in color. They'll sit on your shelf just fine as long as it's not too warm in there for up to 2 to 3 days and still have pretty good quality. If you're ready to freeze them, this is the time that they should be rinsed and then have the caps removed. Then they can either just be put on a cookie sheet, put into the freezer until they're nice and frozen, and then dumped into bags, or you can slice them at that point and mix them with a little bit of sugar and then put them into freezer bags that way. The sugar helps draw some of the juice out of the strawberries, which will form a nice syrup when you pour it out. But if you prefer not to have the sugar in there, you can freeze them without sugar just fine.